Hello and welcome to another episode of The Traveller, and this time around we really have travelled. We've come all the way over to Lac de Première in France, which is about two and a half hours from Calais, so not too far. I've never been to the venue before. Fingers crossed I'm going to catch something. I've got scores to settle with myself, and if I do go home without a fish I won't be best pleased at all. So I'm going to get my stuff out of the van now. I'm going to go and find Dean, take my water butt and sort of pick a swim. The original plan was to fish together, bait heavily out in open water, boilie fishing, and catch a few doing that, but we'll see. That's the plan so far, but I'm yet to even see the venue. It's a big strong northerly pushing down this end of the lake, so hopefully Dean's somewhere up there, out of the way of it all. But like I said, I'm going to get my stuff out, go for a wander. I'll see you later on. Right, we're into the first morning now. I managed to find Dean sort of halfway up the right hand side of the lake yesterday afternoon. He'd had 4 fish the night before I arrived, so I doubled up with him. He was in a swim that controlled the middle body of water. Was basically just fishing about 80 yards out with a throwing stick. Nice spread of cell, and it worked well for him, so I set up next door to Dean. I've done the night. I fished 2 rods out in open water, one to the snag sort of along my right hand margin. But I didn't catch anything. Dean had another, I think he had 3 last night, but myself I didn't catch a thing, so I'm going to have a reel in, have a wander up the other end of the lake and see if I can catch something from elsewhere. I haven't seen hardly anything and don't really fancy sitting here all day hoping and praying that one's going to pick up at random. So like I say, I'm going to reel in and go and have a wander. Right, something everyone should do with carp, no matter how big they are. If you do catch one, treat the hook hold, treat any other marks on the body. Well, nothing like being a bit jammy. How about that for a first bite? 50-pound bait, absolute beauty. And I'm not going to say I look much more because it's really hard to hold. And I'm only skinny, so I'm going to get on with me smiling, get some steals, and we'll talk a bit more about the capture later. But I'm absolutely buzzing with this. It's the biggest carp I've ever caught actually, England and abroad, so it's really cool. It's made me realise I need to go down to the gym if I want to be catching anything much bigger than this in England, which I do dream to one day. So I've learnt something, do some more weights and prepare yourself, because they're half heavy, but I'm well happy, really pleased with that. Didn't catch anything last night in the swim up, sort of further up the lake. Come down here and sort of after a change of tactics and probably 15 minutes with the rod in, this is the result. So, I've said it hundreds and hundreds of times before, location is the one, effort pays, it really does. And this is my reward, so I'm well chuffed. I'm going to let him go, might even move down here, I'm not sure yet. For now, I'm just going to say goodbye, go and dry myself off. Oh, what a fish. Well, typical of snag fishing, especially at this time of year. It starts to warm up, they do tend to venture into the snags. Quick bites, if they're there and you can get tight enough, sometimes they can be quite easy to catch. Hey. Well, you couldn't get much more of a contrast between 2 fish, but from massive mirror to little common we have gone. Rod hadn't been in much more than about 10 minutes. If they're in there, as long as you can get safely tight enough, it can actually become quite easy to get bites. If they're stacked up in there, you don't need to put much bait out, just a rig in the right place and it can become pretty basic really. So I'm going to get this little man back. Hopefully there's a few big brothers and sisters in there that are hungry for some cell like he was. We shall see. One thing you don't want to be doing when you're snag fishing is, casting and hitting and hoping really. If you're fishing tight up against the snags, you want to be using your line clip. What that enables you to do is get tighter and tighter until you've got the lead landing where you want it. So I've clipped this rod up, just going to chuck it out there once more and just check that it's clipped in the right place. If it is, I'll put the rig on, little bag, and flick it out to the spot, knowing that it's never going to go in the snag. Right, this is the snag I've been getting my bites off of. I haven't been putting much bait in, maybe 10 boardies broken into halves, quarters, that sort of thing. Just plonking them through the trees. whatever's down there, it's been enough to draw them out. So I'm going to do the same process again, same as before. Just got some cell boilies, breaking them in half. It's important when you are doing stuff like this to actually put a few in the snag as well. Now, if they eat them while they're amongst the branches, they'll be more than willing to eat them once they come out. So rather than putting all your bait outside the snag, always trickle a bit, you know, even right in against the bank. Make sure the majority of it, of course, is outside. Took a bit longer this time. Rod's probably been out half hour, 45 minutes. I just went and had a sit down by the rod, and within 5 minutes of sitting next to it, pulled up tight and another fish was hooked. So doesn't. Oh, one's just showed as well, and again, little baby one, just showed. Doesn't feel massive, this one, but we shall see. It's not far away from the net now. Well, here he is, carp number 3 from the snags. Sort of mid 20-pound mirror, absolutely nailed. Like I said during the fight, it did take a bit longer to get a bite this time. Hopefully there's a couple more to come before it gets dark. Who knows, might even be another big one. We'll get him back. There's only one way of finding out what else is down there, and that's by putting a rod down there. So I'm going to get a rig back in position, slip him back, and hopefully our good luck will continue. One thing I must stress whilst snag fishing is stay on your rod. Don't be wandering up and down the bank, don't be walking around to put any bait in, don't be going anywhere, just sit by the rod, stay as close to it for as long as you can. That's exactly what I'm doing now. There's me spot, and there's me bobbing. Come on. Just what I've mentioned here, I'm only using one rod in this swim. Now, although there's probably what looks like 80 yards of snags I could fish to, by putting 2 or 3 rods along there, you know, when you do get a bite, you're increasing the chance of it swimming through the line of another rod. 2, if you manage to avoid that line, there's a chance that one of your other rods will go. You know, you can never tell how many fish are in the snags whilst your rods are out. You can't be round there looking. If it's 30 fish along one set of snags, you could easily get a treble take in the time it takes you to land one, photo one. So, you know, think carefully about where you're going to put it and use one rod if you can. You know, well, we all can, but if you can stomach using one rod, you know, it's safer to do so. I've only used one today. Mad sometimes. You've got this whole lake. It's got to be 30 acres of water, maybe more. Look at it. Goes on and on. Where did I get my bites from? In this quiet, snaggy little corner, just over there. It's my second morning now. Yeah, I didn't catch anything last night, so once again I'll be hedging my bets up in the snags. So I think I'm gonna have a reel in before long. Wander down there and put some bait in, give it an hour, then wander back down there with a rod and fish in there again for the day. I'm not going to move out the swim. I've got one night left, so I'm not going to move out of here tonight. I've put a fair bit of bait in, so I'm going to risk it. Hopefully something will turn up tonight. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I'm happy with how things have gone anyway. You know, every fish from now on's a bonus. So for now I'm going to have a cup of tea, get the rods reeled in, tie some rigs, and trundle off down to the other end for a look. I'm really gently just sinking the line. I'm not actually pulling the line, just keeping it under tension. You know, I'm not letting it bow too much. I'm letting it sink of its own accord, but I'm stopping it from bowing too much because there is a wind. So it takes a couple of minutes, but you know, you don't want to dislodge the lead. So I'm being nice and carefully just getting the line down. Right, now that the line's sunk, I've got a rod in the rest, which is obviously locked into the butt rest. Now I'm going to tighten up the spool. It's really important the fish can't set any line whatsoever, so you know, go nowhere now. At this end, rather than fish a slack line or a tight line, meet halfway, just have a ever so slight drop on the bobbin. There's enough movement there for you know, to register and give you a proper bite, but at the same time you haven't got too much slack line out, and you know, sometimes a tight line doesn't register quite as well, so that's about perfect. Right, well, coming into the final night now. I haven't caught anything out of this swim for the last 2 nights, fishing sort of straight out. Dean's been having them, you know, just left, so I'm going to take 2 rods off my baited area. I'm going to put one back down the margin. I'm going to put one out that direction, sort of out to the right, about 60 yards. I heard a few fish out that way last night, so it's got to be worth a rod tonight. And I'm going to put my left-hand rod back on the, well, it's the left-hand side of the baited patch, nearest to Dean's swim. So if any of those fish he's catching do decide to drift across, I should intercept them on my left-hand rod pretty much instantly. So that's the plan. What we can do now is get the rods out and see what happens. Well, we're into the final morning now. Done 3 nights, and strangely I haven't caught anything of a night time, just in the days when I've been moving down the other end to fish the snags. Dean didn't have anything from open water last night either. All my gear's packed down, just got the rods to go. See you around next time. Don't know where we'll be, but hopefully there'll be plenty more cut up.